All right, we can, we'll just go ahead and get started. I know everybody's anxious to get going, but I'd like to welcome everyone to the special event today. It's another one this week, and that's really says something a lot about the young athletes and students here at Lincoln County High School, and it's really, it does well for us to have this kind of occasion, and hopefully we'll continue to have more of it. And this really what it does, it sets a precedent for others, for the younger athletes in the school. And you know, and I know it's a great honor for these young men and their families as well. Like I said the other day, there's been a lot of commitments and sacrifices made, not just by these young men, but by the parents as well, and all the coaches that they've been involved with from the beginning of their careers. And this is just something that's, you know, puts the cherry on top. And like I said before, any time that you can continue to play the sport that you love and get your education paid for, that's just you know, a great honor and a great achievement. And you know, like I've told athletes for over 20 years now, that the more, every time you go up a level in your career, from little league to middle school, from middle school to high school now to college, that those commitments and sacrifices and expectations are going to become a lot greater, and you have to step up and meet those to be successful. And I know these two young men will. They're very dedicated to the sport, and they have you know, have goals and dreams to achieve. But with that, again, we're very blessed to have two fine young men, not just athletes, but people and students as well. And that's what it's all about, the total package. And I know University of Charleston will be very happy to have these young men as the student athletes. But with that, congratulations, you guys, and we'll let, I believe some of the coaches want to say a few words.
Thank you, Coach. Thank you, Coach. I kind of got surprised here today that I get to come up here and speak about these two fine young men. I had this big speech planned, but I'd rather tell a story about these two young men. I met Blake Stump when he was about 9, 10 years old. He played Little League for me. He said, Coach, he said, I'd like to try pitching. I said, good, because we need something. We ain't got but one. He stepped up and done a fantastic job. Ended up going 15-1, didn't we, Blake? Yeah. And I've had the privilege of watching this young man grow up. And then I became the summer and fall ball coach and helped Modell last year. And I got to meet Grant Bates. It wasn't always pretty with me and Grant. Sometimes we didn't get along, did we, Grant? Nope. We argued just a little. Stump knew how I was. He played for me before. And we argued a little. That's all right. It's just part of the game, ain't it? Yeah. But I watched two young men grow into men. I watched them take a ball team that didn't win a game in the summer, step up and go 8-1 in the fall, who would not lay down and would not quit for nothing. We was at a game against Cabell. Looked like we was going to get beat, and all of a sudden I seen a change in Grant and I seen a change in Stump. They decided that losing was no longer an option. And they had heard it preached time and time again. They heard that we're not going to give up, we're not going to quit. It don't matter what the score is. We don't quit for nothing. And they heard that all summer. And they proved it in the fall when they stepped up and went 8-1. We beat teams that thought we didn't have a chance. I got to say, I got to hand it to Stump and Grant, because they stepped up. They became the leaders that I knew they could be. The leaders that we needed them to be for that team. I seen them step up and grab kids by the seat of the pants and shake them a little bit and say, you know what, you're better than that. We're better than that, we're here to win. Them two young men right there done that. You know, as coaches, we got a pat on the back for going 8-1. We'd have never went 8-1 if it wouldn't have been for these two young men. See, we can teach them what to do on the field, but we can't lead them on the field. That's why we pick captains. I picked my two captains. I picked these two young men right here. And it was a great decision for me because they made my job easier. They led the team. They truly did. If you came and watched them play, then you seen it. I watched Blake Stump take the mound at Riverside and dominate. He dominated a varsity team that thought that we never had a chance. I watched Grant Bates stand in the field, throw kids out from an unbelievable distance. That we didn't go back to the glove, did we, Grant? We done what we knew to do, and we stood strong and we done it. I'm so proud of these two young men. They deserve the scholarship that they have because they earned it. They stood up in the summer and went for 4-hour practices. Very little water breaks, and I think I earned a, boy, he's a horrible coach. Man, listen how mean he is. But then in the fall, they proved what we was doing was right. I see two young men here with a bright future in baseball, a bright future in whatever they choose to go in. Because I see two young men that won't quit and they won't give up. Even when adversity is strong and standing against them, I've seen them fight back. I know what they're made of. And what they're made of is good things. And I'm very proud of them. Blake, Grant, congratulations. That's you, John.
I think Coach is supposed to say, John, you got anything to say? And I go, no. But that's typically what it was in the regular season, right, guys? So I'm not a man of many words, but so I had to write it down. But these two guys, grown attached to them and their families, but very competitive. Got a little competitive with Grant and beat him in deer hunting this year, so I smoked him. It took me 2 hours, but I got you, Grant. You on 8 days or 9 days now? So, but we compete within each other. We're having good times. But I guess I'm the kind of the guy who jokes around a little bit. But like I said, I've grown attached to them and their families. A lot of work on the field. I guess we've done a lot to it. Got a lot more coming. And but these guys has proven to me how dedicated they are to themselves, the sport, to their teammates, and how they can provide to the county as well, this high school, the people of Lincoln County. The Lincoln County High School was still the diversities of having the consolidation, to be honest. It's still there, and we're working through that, and I'm happy to hear that because we're moving on. And we're actually becoming a family, and that's why most of our guys are here today from the team. I'm sure there'll be several more middle schoolers here as well that's already getting involved in our program. So I want to keep it short and sweet. But these are a fine family, and I know what you guys do. I know your families are good Christian homes as well, so I selected these scriptures. Isaiah 40:29 through 31. He giveth power to the faint, and to them that have no might he increaseth strength. Even the youth shall faint and be weary, and the young men shall utterly fall. But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with their wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary, and they shall walk and not faint. Gentlemen, your battle's just beginning. The real work's going to start. Stay after it. Stay straight. Keep the narrow road.
Well, it's been a quick 4 years. I was with these guys for 4 years, and I've seen them grow to men. A couple little individual stories. Blake shows up freshman year, taking infield on shortstop. I ask him, what do you want to do? I want to play ball. I said, well, you're going to have to stay the course. You're going to have to work hard because you got guys ahead of you. But you got to remember this. When we tap you on the shoulder, be ready to stand up. He got that chance because an ineligible player, and he never looked back. He had a severe knee injury that could have possibly ruined his career. He never looked back. He stayed the course because he stood up. And that's why he's here today, getting that scholarship because he stood up. Sitting on the dugout fence one day, same year, I look at Grant and I say, what do you want to do? He says, I want to play ball. I want to play college ball. And I said, well, how are you going to do that? And he said, whatever it takes, Coach. And I laughed and I said, okay, take everything you've learned to this part and buy in. Buy into our program. Buy into what I know about baseball. And he did. That's why he's here today. Everybody wants to look for role models on TV. Football, basketball, soccer, baseball. You want a role model? Look at these guys right here. There's your role models. And I'm proud of them. And we should all be proud of them. And let's show how proud we are to them and support them this year for their last year in high school. Come out to the games. And next year, let's go to Charleston and support them. They deserve it. Thank you.
Well, these guys have already gave me warning that I had a 2-hour limit, but I'm really going to make it short. I always plan to make it short, and I get on these rolls and stuff, but I really am going to make it short. This is not my first signing. I've had some signings in the past with former players, and as a matter of fact, there's some adults in here today that I was fortunate enough to attend their signings when they were in school. And the difference is that at that time, it was always after the season. So you're congratulating, you're hugging, and you're, wishing everybody well and basically saying goodbye. This is the difference now is we still have a season to play. I still have these two guys for another season. So I'm not going to say goodbye. I'm not going to hug and get all sentimental because there's a possibility I may have to yell a little bit between now and the time you guys leave this place. But I will say this. These are two of the finest young men that I've ever had the pleasure of coaching or being around. And I'll tell you, I really don't have a lot of stories. I do remember, I can tell you this, I went to school with Grant's mom and dad. I've known them since we were kids, and I'm very close to them, and I've watched Grant grow up. You know, when he was a little boy, he was a little short, fat kid. And, I'll just be honest, it's a true story. But he was a little short, fat boy, and, I thought maybe, he might be a pro wrestler or something someday. But truthfully, straight up, Grant has got great work ethic. He's got a great attitude, and he is willing to do what it takes. And all you have to do is spend a little bit of time with him and see him in action, be in the dugout with him, be in the locker room with him, be in the weight room. You'll see that. Blake, I met Blake when he came in as a freshman, and I truthfully can say, Blake, I just have loved having you a part of our program. The story that I'm going to tell is about Blake's freshman year, and we were playing at Man. Remember that game, Blake?
Oh, yeah.
Blake was just, he was a talented freshman, and we knew that he was going to be a player for us, and we were just looking and waiting for the opportunity to get him in the lineup. And every opportunity we could do that, we would do that. We'd get him in. And Man is a very good baseball program. They're Class A, but they won the state championship last year, and I believe his freshman year they were in the state championship game. They have a good program. We've had a good rivalry with them. We beat them. They beat us. But it was a real shootout that night. I remember, I believe Grant might have, I know what it was. Grant was on deck to bat, and Blake was on third base. It was a close game, bases loaded. I think there was 2 outs, bases loaded, and Grant's on deck to come up to hit, and Stump got off third base a little bit too far. And one of our rules in baseball is you never make the third out at third base or home. You never do that. That's a cardinal rule, because a base hit will score you from either position, and especially if you're at third base, an error, a pass ball, you're in, you walk in, easy runs. And you definitely don't take chances when you've got strong hitters up. And at that time, Grant hit our program running. I mean, from game one, he was hitting balls all over the field. We were excited right off the bat. And Grant was probably our strongest hitter his freshman year. And Stump was on third. He was aggressive. He was wanting to play. He was wanting to win. He was wanting to show that he had it. And he got a little bit too far off third base, and that catcher picked him off. And I thought I was going to explode. I felt like grabbing him by the head and pinching it right there. He went on over to the dugout. I don't know if it was 2 outs or it might have only been 1 out. I don't know, but there was 2 outs. We went over to the dugout, and when we come back up the next inning, and Grant would have been up to bat, Grant hits one off the left field wall. I think he hits a double or a triple, which would have scored 2 or 3 runs. And I went over to, and I was mad at that time. I was still upset. And I went over to talk to Stump and explain to him what his lack or his, I don't have, for lack of a better word, his brain fart cost us. And I went over with the intention of, giving him a little bit of my mind, piece of my mind, and explaining and some tough love. And I went over to him, and he had tears in his eyes. And I just couldn't. The only thing I could do was grab him and hug him, because I could see right there that, he loved it. He loved being there, and he was hurt more than anybody. So I couldn't yell at him. Couldn't do it. I think I grew up a lot that night myself as a coach. That's the stories I have about these guys. Everything else, for the most part, has been positive. They've always been there when I needed them. They've always been positive influences in the locker room and dugout and the batting cage. They've never once raised their voice to me, never once back-talked me, never once questioned me that I know of. Now, they may have, but I certainly didn't know about it, which means they have some class. I know that I'm not perfect. I'm sure that I upset my players from time to time, just like most coaches do. But they were classy enough to say, we'll do better. And that's really what it takes. These guys should be the poster child for how to get into college, how to be a success, and how to get yourself to the next level. Because they've taken care of business on the field, they've taken care of business in the classroom, they're perfect citizens, to the best of my knowledge, in school. Never had one teacher or administrator ever come to me about either one of these young men. I'm just so proud of you. I have high expectations for you. And I've tried to let you guys understand and realize, and like Coach Christian said, as you move up in level, it gets tougher. Playing college sports is a wonderful thing. It's wonderful. I wouldn't trade my years for anything. But I can tell you this, it's very tough. It's not all sunshine and roses and pats on the back and people telling you how great you are, because for every moment that you spend like that, you're spending hours and hours of sacrifice and sweat and dedication. It just takes a tremendous amount of time and effort to be able to taste the fruits of the good things that college sports bring you. I hope that my young men that we still have in our program, I hope that you guys are motivated by this. I hope our young ladies that are here today are wonderful softball players. I want to see you all do the same thing. We had a young lady the other day signed a letter of intent, and I expect more athletes from this school to do that this year. Just proud. I'm proud to be a Lincoln Countian. You know, our men's programs have really worked hard. We've struggled. It's been tough. It's been a climb. But we, at least our part of it, we see that our hard work is starting to pay dividends. And I know that our other sports, it's the same way. It takes time and effort and dedication, and it takes men like these two guys. And again, I can't thank you guys enough for the time that I've had with you, but I can tell you this, I expect even more out of you from here on out. We still got games to win. And we have high expectations this year. You know, we have very high expectations, probably higher than any, well, I'm certainly higher than any that I've been involved with in the last 10 years. And these guys have been good leaders. And last year, I called them my baby seniors. You know, they basically were seniors last year for us. And they were my baby seniors. Now they're my grown-up seniors. And I think that we're going to see positive things. And I ask you guys to come out this year, support us, because our players, we're going to play hard. And, you know, I'm not saying we're going to win every game, but I promise you this, we'll be in every game. And we'll have a chance. And if we get more guys like this, we're going to win a lot more games in the future. So with that said, I want to tell you guys I love you, but don't take it to heart, because I may have to yell at you. But I am proud of these guys. I probably won't. I've never had to yell at these two ever. I don't remember if I've ever yelled at you. And I don't mean to be yelling, but sometimes, you know, when you're coaching, you get intense and you know, and you're passionate about something. Yeah, I'm sure you've heard, don't listen to what I say, not how I say it. Because we're passionate. All of our coaches, we're all passionate about things. And you know, we can't get out there and play. All we can do is try to transfer our energy and knowledge over to our young men and see if they can see what they can do with it. And so I'm just so proud of you, and I expect to see some more people signing even this year. I do. I expect one or two more before this year is over. And I expect to see, you know, in the next 2 or 3 years, I expect a dozen or better. So thank you guys for coming. Thank you for supporting these young men. And again, guys, congratulations. And let's give these guys a big hand. Now, with that, I'm under the impression now that we need to do the deal. All right, so these guys, have you got pens, by the way, that you're going to get to keep?
Pen?
The pens that you're signing with?
I guess.
Well, see, that's important. You got to remember that. See, that's important. That pen that you sign with, that needs to go on the trophy case. Honestly. Right, Coach Beck? All right, guys, here we go. This is proof that sports do pay, and in this case, they pay big, because UC is an expensive school. Done?
Yeah.
Put that hat on. Let's give him a big hand. All right. We have refreshments. We have refreshments for everybody. We're going to conclude here in just a moment. We have refreshments if you want to hang around, get you something to eat or drink and shake hands and talk to these guys and congratulate them. Feel free. Again, I'd like to thank everybody for coming. You guys want to say anything? Sure?
Thank you. Say thank you.
You want to say thank you from where you're at?
You can say it for me.
He said to tell you thank you. All right, one more time. Give him a big hand. That concludes everything. So if you'd like to come up and shake their hand and get you something to drink, feel free. Come on up.
These chairs are going to school.